Hello and welcome to the program, News Beat. I'm not alone on the program. I have my sister with me, and she is Fatima Mohammed. So Fatima, how are you today?
I'm fine. And you, Abayomi, how are you?
I'm all right. So what are we looking at? This is the last edition of News Beat for the year.
Yes. I think today, here in News Beats, we report, review, comment, and seek more knowledge on information. But today, as the year 2025 is gradually coming to an end, we'll be looking at Africa. Abayomi, what do you know about Africa?
Well, I know Africa is my fatherland, is my motherland, and my country, Nigeria, is one of the 54 member countries of the African Union. Africa is the land of black people, even though my skin is more brown than black, but the way it is said, Africa is the land of black people. Yoruba people will say it is Ilẹ̀ Adúláwọ̀. So yeah, so here we are in Africa, hoping that things will get better.
So I think we would like to start with West Africa.
Okay, West Africa.
West Africa.
Okay, well, West Africa is where my country is, so I'm just wondering, where do you want to start from in West Africa?
Well, let's start with the Republic of Cameroon.
Huh?
What do you know about Cameroon?
Well, the only thing I know about Cameroon is that they speak French. And that's about it. And I know that, well, you have been looking at the Cameroon file now, not me.
Well, I think Cameroon is in Africa, and Nigeria has been in a good relation with the country for the past many years. So, but when you look at Cameroon right now, Paul Biya, who is the present president of Cameroon, is 92 years old, and he secured his 8th-time presidential term. When they had election this year, maintaining his remarkable grip on power since 1982. So he has been the Africa's second longest serving leader, a tenure made possible by a 2008 constitutional amendment that abolished presidential term limits. So as Africa's most enduring political figure, Biya's continued rules reflect the dominant party system that has governed Cameroon since independence, though its administration faces mounting pressures from regional security threats and internal political tensions. The election highlighted ongoing concerns about democratic space and credibility in the region.
Well, it's not surprising that Paul Biya has come back to power, I think, for the 8th time. I think Paul Biya, like you said,
the second longest.
Yes. I mean, some of my colleagues in this station were not born in 1982 when Paul Biya took over power. I mean, it's quite a long time. In 1982, I just made my West African school certificate.
Wow.
1982. So, and in that 1982, I was 17. Now I am 61. So that means that a whole generation of Cameroonians for more than 40 years have known only one man as their president. And I don't think that is a good thing for that country. I don't think it is a good thing for Africa. I don't think it is a good thing for human rights and democracy.
But
then,
in your home, what do you think they can do so that they will have a change of government in that country?
well, you see,
Since 1982,
well,
for one single person to be in power.
Well, for some reason, Cameroon is one country that has never had a successful military coup. So that means that unlike say the Nigerian military, for instance, the Cameroonian military, or they are not like the Ghanaian or Nigerian military that know how to plan coup. Because let's be honest, coups are out of fashion. Even though we have had a series of military coups across Africa, Niger, Mali, Burkina, Guinea-Bissau most recently, and an attempt in Benin Republic. But then, talking about Cameroon, what they simply need is greater resilience of the political class, greater courage. Then let us not forget that there was a very, very spirited challenge by one of the former ministers of Paul Biya, whose name I cannot recollect now, to contest the elections with him. But then Cameroonian elections are not announced, I think, until 2 weeks after the election. So by that time, you can announce anything you want. And Paul Biya definitely has a very firm grip on the security, defense, and intelligence services of that country. So anybody who tries anything gets into a mess. So that gentleman has run away from the country now. Then another issue that one cannot but talk about in Cameroon, Cameroon has had good relations with Nigeria, but I will not say they are cordial relations. It is more a question of Nigeria afraid of what Cameroon can do. And Cameroon can do a lot of things to Nigeria.
What do you think they can do to Nigeria? They are giants of Africa.
Well, yeah, that's a fact. But that our giant is more on paper. Look at even internal banditry we have been unable to curb. You understand? Look at Allergic Chemical. You can't go out to Allergic Chemical in Lafayette and tell him that Nigeria is a giant.
Is a giant of Africa.
What? That kidnappers took me away, took my money, harassed my family, you know. So let's leave that aside. Cameroon, during the Civil War, because France supported Biafra, Cameroon is a francophone country. So while they did not have diplomatic, you can see the border there, that the southeast, well, from the northeast to the southeast of Nigeria is Cameroon. So if Cameroon, which has a border with the southeast, was supporting Biafra, it could result in a change in the power play between the federal forces and the Biafran forces then. That was why Yakubu Gowon had to offer them the Bakassi Peninsula, that little piece that you see just ahead of Equatorial Guinea. If you take there's one little piece that is cream colored there, that's the Bakassi Peninsula. So Nigeria had to trade it off to Cameroon, so that Cameroon will not support Biafra and give them a front and supply arms. That is that. And since then, it has been on and off. But because of the fact that especially many of the people on those areas, some of them speak the same language, like in Adamawa. For instance, Amadou Ahidjo, the first president of Cameroon, is a Fulani man. The Ahidjo, where he comes from, the Lamido of Adamawa in Nigeria today is really their king. You know, so but anyway, that's the situation. So Nigeria has a lot to fear. That is even more graphic. You see, that's what I was trying to. So that is the area of conflict. But Nigeria had to let it go because Nigeria actually signed a treaty permitting Cameroon to take control of that area. Then Cameroon also has an insurgent group. In fact, they are a rebellion group, not insurgent, a separatist group. They want to create a country called Ambazonia out of Cameroon. And it is mostly the English-speaking, because in Cameroon, they speak both English and French, in addition to maybe 20 other indigenous languages. So the English-speaking Cameroonians want their own country and they are calling it Ambazonia. So if Nigeria wants to be a bad neighbor, Nigeria can decide to support those people, and which will result in tension in Cameroon. But because Nigeria has suffered Oshiori, Nigeria has suffered from a civil war before, so we know the value of being respectful and civil with our neighbors, even if we are not as cordial as we want to be. So that's how they can pose a threat to us, you know. So, but moving away from West Africa, I think moving to East Africa. And there is nowhere where I want to go to in East Africa than Tanzania. Of course, in East Africa, they also lost one very prominent politician, Raila Odinga, I think, a man who had tried unsuccessfully to be president. But in Tanzania, Tanzania is a former British colony like Nigeria. It was not originally a British colony. The highest point in Africa, which is Mount Kilimanjaro, is on the border between Kenya and Tanzania. But what we are saying is that Tanzania held elections this year, presidential elections, and President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who was finishing the term of her predecessor, President John Magufuli, who died in office. She was the vice president. So John Magufuli died in office. Then Hajia Samia Suluhu Hassan took over as president. And if anybody is doubting what a woman can do, they should go back and know that before Samia Suluhu Hassan, there was Indira Gandhi of India, who was, nobody ever said she was a nice girl. She was known to be hard. In the case of Margaret Thatcher of the United Kingdom, who incidentally is also the longest serving British Prime Minister, she ruled the United Kingdom from 1979 to 1990. Nobody has ever ruled the United Kingdom for 11 years as a Prime Minister, except Margaret Thatcher. So Samia Suluhu Hassan, I think, already knew where she was going. And whatever anybody may say about that election, she was declared the winner, and she is in power today. And the elections proved controversial. Observers from the South African Development Community, SADC, which is the regional grouping of South African countries, just like ECOWAS is the regional grouping of West African countries. They talked about irregularities in that election, ballot stuffing, intimidation of observers, security forces, intimidation, and many of those, in fact, the official document of that mission, of the Electoral Observer Mission of the South Africa Development Commission, said that voters in that election that brought Samia Suluhu Hassan into power for her own first full term were not denied the opportunity to express their vote, their desire of who to rule them at the ballot box. But then, the fact is, however anybody may say it, Samia Suluhu Hassan has been declared the president of Tanzania, and she is in charge of that country. And if anybody makes any costly errors, I strongly believe that person will have a lot to pay by crossing her path. From here in Nigeria, where I'm sitting, I just want to appeal to the president of Tanzania to please exercise restraint in using power. But Madam President, it's not a joke. This is not in any way, in my opinion, should not distract anything from the belief, the understanding that democracy has come to stay in Africa. There will be challenges, There is no system that is not challenged. The British Conservative Party, before they were able to hold general elections, in a space of about 3 years, had almost as many prime ministers. They forced Lord David, I can't remember his second name now, to go. Boris Johnson took over, Theresa May, then there was another woman, until then there was the Indian man, you know, until they now had to hold elections in which the Labour Party won, with Sir Keir Starmer being the new Prime Minister of the UK. So democratic rule does not necessarily mean breakdown. There must be challenges. So the election of President Suluhu Hassan, in my opinion, is simply a challenge to African democracy to become stronger, rather than a threat towards better democracy in Africa that's coming back from East Africa.
So away from Tanzania,
Yes.
so can we look at Côte d'Ivoire?
Côte d'Ivoire. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, Côte d'Ivoire is a country that, I think you speak French now.
I don't understand French.
Why now? You should be able to speak French. Well,
I don't understand, but I know that Côte d'Ivoire is a Francophone country.
Yes.
They speak French.
Aha, you know.
And they also have good relations with Nigeria.
Yes, yes. I think Côte d'Ivoire, yes, has had good relations with Nigeria. Although one must say too that during the Civil War years, the relationship of Côte d'Ivoire to Nigeria was challenged. There are about 3-4 countries between Nigeria and Côte d'Ivoire. I think you pass through, that's on land, Benin Republic, Togo, Ghana, then you get to Côte d'Ivoire. It is worthy of note to say that the most prominent political families in Kwara State have very, very strong roots in Côte d'Ivoire. These roots, which some of us believe are still evident today. For one, the incumbent governor, his father was the Nigerian ambassador to Côte d'Ivoire. I'm talking of the late AGF Abdulrazak, the senior advocate of Nigeria, chairman, body of benchers in his lifetime, chairman, Nigerian Stock Exchange in his lifetime, Abdul Ganiu Florensho Abdulrazak. That is the father of the current governor of Kwara State. He served in the First Republic. I think that would have been sometime around 1964 as the Nigerian ambassador to the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire. And the other one, the ones that used to be in power before, I'm talking of the Saraki family of Agbaji. The Bukola Saraki is the son of Olushola. Olushola is the son of Mutairu. Mutairu in Ilorin mythology or Ilorin folklore, yes, Ilorin folklore, is the son of Mutairu Abidjan. Abidjan being the capital of Côte d'Ivoire. So Côte d'Ivoire is a country that we just pick those ones because they are the most outstanding. So I think quite a number of Nigerians, people from Kwara State, know a lot, have lived in Côte d'Ivoire, have businesses there, used to have businesses and still have businesses in Côte d'Ivoire. At that time, I think they were mostly into merchandise, including agricultural produce, because I think Côte d'Ivoire is the largest producer of cocoa in the world. I don't know why Nigeria allowed that to happen. That's why when you start saying giant of Africa, you just wonder.
And I think we also agree with me, Tabayomi, yes, that Côte d'Ivoire is also among West Africa countries that has more stable and economically dynamic nations. So Côte d'Ivoire is in its 2025 election, so shaped up to among the most consequential for the continent. So it's an economic powerhouse in the region. So the country's electoral outcome has significance for broader regional stability and governance in West Africa. So Côte d'Ivoire has a more stable and economic dynamic.
Well, generally, Côte d'Ivoire, no, please let's see those pictures again. Côte d'Ivoire is known to be, to a lot of people, is said to be the most beautiful country in West Africa. I don't know if I agree with them, but I think the simple thing is that
economically stable.
yes, because until they had this conflict between the current president Ouattara and the one that came before him, I think it's Konan Bedie or somebody, I think. The country had been relatively stable. But it was stable not necessarily because of its productivity, but because generally the French, the Francophone countries, the French tended to adopt them, to adopt those countries. So because they adopted them, we had a false semblance of stability. And if you look at, please let's see those pictures of the candidates again. Those are the candidates that contested the last presidential election, which held in Côte d'Ivoire. Me, I can read French small. Don't laugh. Élection du président de la République. Scrutin de 20, is it 25 or 29th? What is that? 25th, de 25 octobre 2025.
And what does it mean?
What it means is that election of the president of the republic.
Okay.
To hold on the 25th of October, year 2025. And these are the candidates. One is Alassane Ouattara of the RHDP party. This is the ballot paper, the sample ballot paper. Then Yvette Simon Espouse Gbagbo. This is the wife of the former president, Laurent Gbagbo. That's his wife. She's from the MGC party. Then you have Lagou Adjoa Henrietta. She comes from the Peace Party, Je Parti de Paix. Then you have Bilan Jean-Louis Eugène. He comes from the Code Party. Then you have an independent candidate, Don Melo Seni Ahu Jacob, independent. Those are the people that contested for the president.
Independent candidacy is allowed
in that country.
In that country,
yes,
in Côte d'Ivoire.
Côte d'Ivoire. And we had Alassane Ouattara, who had made sure that he disqualified Gbagbo and any other apparently strong candidates, and he emerged as the president. Again, no doubt he is trying to maintain that specter of stability of Côte d'Ivoire, or has been a stable country. And by and large, I think so far it would be correct to say he has succeeded to an extent. Because if you recollect, there was an attempted coup, and he too is in his 80s, mark you. He's not a young man at all. He has been in politics for quite a long time. He has been in politics since the time of the founding father of that country. This was the day of his swearing in, you know. But this particular picture was taken in Nigeria. This particular picture. This was not his swearing in, I beg your pardon. This picture was taken in Eagle Square. You can see that officer behind him is a major of the Brigade of Guards of the Nigerian Army. You see, when a visiting president comes to a particular country, the armed forces of that country will provide him with an equerry. An equerry is just a big name for an aide-de-camp. So they will provide him an ADC for the period during which he visits that country. So that is him and Madame Ouattara at the Eagle Square. I think I was not able to do the provenance of that picture, but this is definitely Eagle Square, Nigeria. Those are two officers of the Brigade of Guards of the Nigerian Army behind him. But that one that is a major, you can be sure he's the assigned equerry, that is ADC, to a visiting president. So the man has been around in the politics of his country for a long time, Alassane Ouattara. But
what interests me in that election was the case of an independent candidate. Don't you think, can we emulate that in Nigeria to allow independent candidates to contest for election?
Well, the Nigerian constitution is clear about it. I don't have the section that says it, but in Nigeria there can be no independent candidacy. It is not
according to our constitution.
According to our constitution. In Nigeria, you must be a member of a political party
before you can contest for election.
Do you want to contest election?
Why not?
Okay. You should start, when you are ready, please make me your director of strategy. Eh? No, but on a serious note, I mean, you have raised a point. A lot of people believe that we should be able to have independent candidates in Nigeria. But so far, right now, we don't have them.
So I think
another thing that has been of concern in this year 2025 is the Sudan. The Sudan has been one country in which devastation, death, hunger, disease, if care is not taken, that country will descend into famine, is Sudan. Sudan is in the middle of a very, very grueling and disturbing civil war. Those people, those prophets of doom that are talking about horrible things in Nigeria, let them just look at the pictures of what is happening in Sudan. You can see Sudan does not have any direct border with Nigeria. I'm sure we know that Khartoum is the capital of Sudan. But Sudan has about 1,000 kilometers of border with Chad. Chad is Nigeria's northeastern neighbor. And the students of politics talk about the domino theory. If you touch one, you touch the other. And with that crisis in Sudan, there is a part of Sudan that is said to be inhabited by Nigerians. A lot of people recollect that when this civil war started, the federal government of Nigeria actually dispatched motor vehicles and aircraft to move Nigerians from around Khartoum to Egypt. From Egypt, they now airlifted them back to Nigeria. So these are real issues. These are real challenges. And in that Sudan now, it is now a catastrophe, because there I believe that hundreds of thousands of people have died in that conflict. Some of them as a result of armed attacks, but the most deaths are coming because of displaced people. People who have been displaced from their homes, who no longer have clean water to drink, who no longer have access to medical facilities, who no longer have access to simple day-to-day needs like shelter, like clothing, and of course food. And essentially this civil war in Sudan is the outcome of the prolonged rule of one man called Omar Hassan al-Bashir. That is part of the bombing you see. I think this is Khartoum. Right now, the armed forces of Sudan have just been able to recapture the capital Khartoum from the RSF forces. The RSF is they call them Rapid Support Force. It was created by Omar al-Bashir. Now, these were the two men, Hamdan and al-Burhan, the chief of army staff and the head of the RSF. The RSF was created as a means of checkmating the Sudanese army under Omar Hassan al-Bashir. Omar Hassan al-Bashir, I think he wanted to rule forever. So he was afraid of what the army could do. So he now created this force called the RSF. And in all this, there has always been a long-standing conflict in the part of Sudan known as Darfur. So they were using, the armed forces were not ready to do certain things, maybe because of ethics, rules of engagement and things like that. Because the army is fundamentally, in any country, is normally a civilized force. While they are trained to kill, they don't kill for the fun of it. But the Rapid Support Force, the RSF, that is the guy in the other brown, Al-Hamdin, I think that is his name, was used by the RSF, by the Sudanese government of al-Bashir to perpetrate atrocities in Darfur. I hope one day we will be able to get Professor Ibrahim Agbola Gambari into these our studios, because he was the United Nations and African Union Special Envoy to Sudan and Darfur in particular. So, so right now, those people are just damaging each other without any recourse to the suffering of women, children, and the aged. So it is like a wound at the center of Africa. Because Sudan, if you look at the map of Africa, is very near the center of Africa. And let's not forget that they had a civil war that lasted more than 20 years that led to the emergence of the country called South Sudan.
We'll be going on break. We'll come back shortly. Stay tuned. You are welcome back from that break. Away from Sudan, we now discuss Somalia. Abayomi, do you know anything about Somalia?
Not really, not really. I do know that, what I know most about Somalia is that the biggest market in Kaduna is called Mogadishu. And Mogadishu is the capital of Somalia. Okay. But to say I know anything about Somalia, I think I will be going too far.
Somalia is the horn of Africa.
Okay.
And despite their challenges, they have shown signs of progress.
Okay.
So, and I think for the first time since the global peaks in 2007, the country has moved out of the world's 10 least secure countries this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, let me understand you correctly. Somalia was among the
10 least secure countries
Eh?
In the year 2025.
So in the year 2025, it has moved out of the 10
10th
most dangerous countries.
countries
Let's just be
of the world.
realistic.
Yes.
So before 2025, Somalia was among the 10 most dangerous
Just
countries in the world. So that means that they have
But
now...
in the year 2025,
So what 2025? Because I didn't get you clearly.
I think they have moved out of the world's 10 least secure countries.
That one is
year
they are just being polite. So it is no longer one of the 10 most dangerous countries.
Yes,
Wow.
that's what it means.
Okay. I wonder, we have to find...
that one has been attributed to sustained military campaigns against Al-Shabaab and stronger governance.
Okay.
So, but however, the country faced internal political disputes between the federal government in Mogadishu and the Jubaland administration, with clashes erupting in July and escalating when Ethiopia forces backing Jubaland exchanged fire with Somali federal forces. So this marked the first direct clash between Ethiopia and Somali forces since their ties broke down in November year 2025.
Well, that Horn of Africa has been a very, very volatile zone. Somalia was without what you could call an effective sovereign government for almost 20 years or thereabouts. Their president used to be one man called Mohamed Siad Barre. He was one of those African strongmen in the category of Idi Amin, in the category of Mobutu Sese Seko, dictator par excellence. Then he was taken out, and when he was taken out, the country itself fell into disorder, which is very painful when you think of the fact that this is a country with some of the most beautiful people in the world. I mean, when you see a Somali person, man or woman, you say, I mean, you know that God is great. You appreciate the glory of God in creation, you know. And there have been those countries there, northern Kenya, southern Ethiopia, southern Somalia, Djibouti, Eritrea. There's also one small territory there called the Afars and Isas. They have all been at one form of war or the other. As we speak now, even Ethiopia and Egypt are on the verge of armed conflict, because the River Nile, which services from that point, from East Africa to the northeast coast of Africa, which is Egypt, is the River Nile. It starts in East Africa, somewhere around Uganda, and now flows through some parts of Ethiopia, some parts of Kenya, Ethiopia, before going to Egypt. And the River Nile is the lifeline of Egypt. Egypt simply cannot exist without the River Nile. And Ethiopia has actually built a dam across the River Nile. So there are problems there. But then we are talking about Somalia. I think what we should be talking about here as Africans is that Somalia, inshallah, is an emergent African success story. I think we also have some pictures about Somalia there. Maybe we can see so that our viewers will know. Now, that is Somalia in relation to the rest of Africa. If you look at that place called Lake Victoria, that is actually where the River Nile begins. Northernmost of Africa is Egypt. So it passes through Uganda, Sudan, Ethiopia, before going to Egypt and entering the Mediterranean Sea. Somalia now has gone far. I think they have an elected president, a well-dressed individual. There he is. This picture was taken from the Conference of Parties for the United Nations Conference on Climate Change. This was on the day of his electoral victory. I think his name is Sheikh Ahmed Yusuf. Sheikh is simply a name in Somalia, although Somalia is a country that is 99% Muslim. But then it is an emergent African success story. So I'm quite pleased with what I've heard from you and what the various news channels are talking about Somalia. So I sincerely hope that they will be able to address their problems. There is a breakaway republic, but I don't think we want to talk about that now, other than to look at the good things that are coming out of that part of Africa.
Away from Somalia, Abayomi,
Yes.
what do you have on the Sahel?
Well, I think
What
first
do you
of
know
all,
about Sahel?
I think the first thing we should the first question we should ask ourselves is what is the Sahel? The Sahel is the northern part of West Africa. Okay. If you want to look at it properly defined, it is also an agroclimatic zone or a natural vegetation zone. The Sahel actually starts from what you call the eastern part of Senegal. Then you now have Mali, Burkina Faso, that is, and Niger. And that is the area properly known as the Sahel. So that Sahel, you will see, starts from the southernmost. That is another one. That is the Sahel. You can say I said Senegal, Mali, Burkina. That map does not show Burkina, but you've seen Burkina there. Burkina is there south of Mali, and next to Burkina is Niger. So the northernmost part of Nigeria is the Sahel. And it now extends through Chad, Sudan, up to, well, Eritrea and South Sudan. That is the whole Sahel zone. But the area that is most prone to crisis now is the area between Mali, Niger, Burkina, and Nigeria. Chad, for now, is confronted more with displaced persons and refugees from the Sudan. But the Sahel is the one that is under serious threat of banditry that claim to be propelled by a religious ideology. And unfortunately, there is sufficient, shall I say, information on ground to show that indeed the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria do have an affiliate in the Sahel, and they are called the Islamic State West Africa Province. But then I am one of those people who believe that the media has a responsibility not to give terrorists oxygen with which to breathe and subsequently affect the livelihoods of our people across the world. Because you see, these terrorists, essentially what they want is attention. They want people to give them attention, and when you give them attention, of course, that is what they want. They are achieving their goals of bringing their causes, which are simply anti-people. They are murderers. So in the Sahel, we have a number of these terrorists, bandits that are causing havoc. Among those we have heard of in recent times in Nigeria include the Mahmudawa, the Laukurawa, and some people actually believe that the missile raid that took place in Sokoto, with some damage in parts of Sokoto and parts of Kwara here, was actually targeted at these Lakurawas, who are believed to have their origins in maybe southern Algeria or northern Niger Republic. Because while they are said to be speaking a variant of Fulfulde, they appear to be more of Tuaregs among them than those that you will call the Pullo people. But nevertheless, there are problems that we find there. Now, if you look at this map that is now there, you can see that by the colors, first there are the countries that are joined together, that they are called the G5 Sahel countries. Chad, Niger, Mali, Burkina, Mauritania, those ones. Incidentally, all those countries are Francophone countries who have very recently expelled French military forces from their country. Because you see, all of a sudden, I think they just looked at it and discovered that, look, these French people are not doing anything here. You know, they are simply gathering intelligence for their own value, but they have not helped them to bring down the incidence of terrorism. Now, another thing that I want to say very quickly, practically all these Sahelian countries, Chad, Niger, Mali, Burkina, Guinea is not a Sahelian country, but they are together with Mali and Niger. Those ones have pulled out of ECOWAS and formed a country called the Sahel Alliance. Guinea, which is not a member, I mean French Guinea now, Guinea Conakry. Is it Conakry? Yes, Guinea Conakry. The other one is Guinea-Bissau. They wants to join up with them. But the fact of the matter, as we speak now, is that there has been no reduction in terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, or security in those countries, despite the fact that the military has taken over. This is very important because a lot of people feel that, Sojan, you see, first of all, very recently, I think in September, the prison where they were keeping Boko Haram specific suspects in Niger was attacked. The prison. Just like we have had maybe 6, 7, if not more prison attacks in Nigeria over time. One is being, because I strongly believe in Nigeria, so I do not believe that we should be emphasizing the fault lines in our country. Rather, I think what we should be talking about should be those things that bring us together. So, but you can see from that data, fortunately, I mean, anybody can cross-check anywhere. What is the level of banditry, insurgency, terrorism in any of those countries in West Africa? You see that
the military
despite the fact that taking over the reins of power. So, and by and large, I think what we need to do as Nigerians is to rally around our respective authorities, beginning from your village chief. If we want to use the typology of the current place where I reside, the first authority there is the ward head, the local ward head. We call him Magaji. Then there is the area head, Alangwa, you know. Then that one too also reports to another authority. That is the traditional way. But otherwise, there is a divisional police station. There is a local government security officer, you know. The local government security officers come from the state security services. They do not normally advertise their presence. But everybody knows where the police station is. So, coming back to the Sahel is still in the middle of great crisis. I mean, recently Mali, the capital of Mali, bandits blocked access to the state capital and there was blackout because gas could not be supplied for power generation. There was shortage of petrol because petrol could not be brought into the country to the capital for countries to use. So there are problems, yes. So, but what we do believe is that now in Nigeria with Christopher Musa there and with his vast experience in the military, you are talking of 39 years of service of the armed forces. And you see, while he is from Kaduna by origin, he is Sokoto in real terms. So, and I think if a lot of people will recollect that when Niger was taken over by Chani, that government mounted a campaign of calumny against Nigeria. And I know the Khalifa Muhammad Sanusi II was one of those who visited, a special presidential envoy. The Sultan, I also visited. Abdusalami Abubakar, a former head of state, also visited on behalf of Nigeria. Okay. Because you see, Nigeria has, look, there are people in Jibia Kasana who have 2 wives. One is living in Maradi, Niger, another one is living in Jibia, Nigeria. Like me now, I come from Ofa. My family farms are in Igosu. Okay. In that part of the world, in Borno, there's one town called Gashgar in Mobar local government of Borno State. The border passes through the center of the town. Mohammed Buba Marwa, his father comes from a town called Marwa in Cameroon. So in those parts of the world, or of Nigeria, you have to be very careful. That's why a lot of people are calling for military intervention to restore this, that, and it was difficult for it to happen. Very quickly, cannot but point out the unsuccessful coup attempt that took place in Benin Republic. In Benin Republic, people said that how was Nigeria able to restore them? You see, the revolting soldiers could not arrest the sitting president. The sitting president was still not in their hands. In the case of Niger, they had arrested Bazoum. So it is that president that they could not arrest that requested assistance from ECOWAS. And since Nigeria was the biggest neighbor, they were able to assist them. And so there's a slight difference. One, the links between Nigeria and Niger are very fraternal, very deep-seated. And two, they already had Bazoum. Let's not forget, it was the commander of the Brigade of Guards of that country that took over power. That's General Abdurrahman Chani. So this is the man who was supposed to be protecting the president, who actually arrested the president. So that made the difference.
Apparently, before our time runs out, we'd like us to look at the conflicts and security crisis in the Republic of Congo too. So during, I think, March this year, the January 2025 this year, the country, I think it has marked a major escalation in the Eastern Republic of
Eastern Province.
Yes, where we have a March 2023 movement. They call them M23, and the Rwanda Defense Force seized Goma. So the capital of North Kivu Province, which represented the most intense fighting involving M23 in its recent operations, with violence in January alone, comparable to nearly a quarter of all M23-related violence throughout 2024. So the UN has accused M23, the Congolese army, and allied militias of committing atrocities amounting to possible war crimes and crimes against humanity, including summary executions, torture, and widespread sexual violence. The M23 has reportedly received training and operational support from Rwanda's military, though Kigali denies these allegations. So you can see that there was also conflicts and security crisis in the Republic of Congo too this year.
Well, that Republic of Congo, may the peace and blessings of Almighty God descend upon that country abundantly. When Obasanjo was asked that what was his achievement as president of Nigeria for 8 years, he alluded that Nigeria is still existing as one country. And while there are conflicts, people are dying, but in 1960, Obasanjo, as a lieutenant, or as I think as a captain, had to go on a peacekeeping mission to Congo. And he went there. Till today, there is still peacekeeping mission in Congo. So in the last 60 years, Congo has been in a turmoil. We lost a number of people, prominent Nigerians. I think we should just try to...
Yes, in the year 2025.
2025. I think maybe
we have numerous...
Yes, but I think we have a few of them that we can just recollect. Prominent Nigerians that departed.
Late General Muhammadu Buhari.
Buried in Daura. Dr. Donyo Kupe, a special assistant on media to President Olusegun Obasanjo and Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. He died on the 3rd of July. And we have a former Federal Commissioner for Information under General Gawan. He died on the 17th of February and was buried in the not at Ijebu-Ode, but in Kiagbode of Delta State. He was buried in Kiagbode, Delta State. Another era. Ayoade Banjo, he died at 96 in Lekki, Lagos, and he was buried in Ijebu-Ode on the 3rd of May, not in Delta State. Chief Ayoade Banjo, he was the leader of the Afenifere group, a Yoruba self-promotion body. He is not formal. He is a former Kwara governor, a former Minister of Communications and Transport between 2003 and 2006. He died at the age of 24 and was buried on the 11th of October 2025 in Okionigni. Former Kwara State Governor, F-O-R-M-E-R, not formal. I also want to use this opportunity to say that all those that died, not only those died, may God grant them eternal rest, and their families the fortitude to bear the loss.
I think Abayomi, that is how far time can permit us on the news beat today. We say a big thank you for watching today's program. My name is Fatima Mohammed. See you next year, 2025. Wishing you 2026. I'm sorry, 2026. We wish you a prosperous new year ahead. Abayomi.
Happy New Year.